Love doesn't always stop feeling safe because something went wrong. Sometimes it stops feeling safe when nothing is wrong at all. There is no fight,
no betrayal,
no obvious threat, and yet your body tightens. Your chest feels alert. Closeness feels heavy instead of comforting. This isn't confusion. This isn't loss of love. This is what happens when safety leaves the nervous system before it leaves the relationship. Why safety in love is a nervous system experience. Love does not live in thoughts first. It lives in the body. Before your mind decides whether a relationship feels good, your nervous system has already made a decision about safety. This decision happens silently, automatically, and without asking your permission. It is based on patterns, not promises. On memory, not intention. When love feels safe, the body is relaxed. Breathing is slow. Muscles soften. There is space inside you to be present. You don't need to monitor the other person. You don't scan for tone changes. You don't brace for emotional impact. When love stops feeling safe, the body does the opposite. It tightens. It watches. It prepares. And this preparation often appears long before anything is actually wrong. Many people assume that love stops feeling safe because someone hurt them. Sometimes that is true. But just as often, love stops feeling safe because the nervous system has associated closeness with cost. Not danger in the dramatic sense, but danger in the subtle sense, emotional exhaustion, overextension, loss of self, or repeated self-abandonment. The nervous system does not measure love by affection. It measures love by capacity. If being close consistently required you to override your needs, explain your feelings, stay strong, stay available, or stay emotionally regulated for both of you, your body learned something important. It learned that connection equals effort. That closeness equals responsibility. That love requires vigilance. Over time, vigilance replaces warmth. This is why love can feel unsafe even in healthy relationships. Because safety is not created by behavior alone. It is created by how the body experiences the relationship over time. You can love someone deeply and still feel tense around them. You can trust someone intellectually and still feel guarded physically. You can want closeness and feel overwhelmed by it at the same time. This is not contradiction. It is nervous system logic. The nervous system is not interested in romance. It is interested in survival. And survival means minimizing emotional cost. If past relationships required you to overgive, overexplain, overfunction, or emotionally manage another person, your body remembers that pattern. It does not care if the current partner is different. It only recognizes similarity in sensation, intensity, closeness, emotional demand. This is why calm love can still feel unsafe. Because safety is not the absence of chaos. It is the presence of ease. When ease is missing, the nervous system stays alert. Another reason love stops feeling safe is emotional inconsistency. Even small, subtle inconsistency trains the body to stay prepared. A partner who is warm sometimes and distant other times. A relationship that feels deeply connected one moment and emotionally unclear the next. This unpredictability keeps the nervous system engaged, even if the relationship is not toxic. Safety requires predictability, not perfection, not intensity, predictability. Without it, love becomes something you manage rather than experience. And management is exhausting. Eventually, the body begins to protect itself. It does not do this by shutting love off immediately. It does it by reducing openness, by creating distance inside, even when you are physically close. This is the moment love starts feeling unsafe. Not because love disappeared, but because regulation did. Why nothing has to be wrong for safety to leave. One of the most confusing experiences in love is when safety disappears without a clear reason. There is no argument to point to.
No abbies emotion algum.
No event that explains the shift. Yet something inside you changed. This happens because safety is not logical. It is cumulative. The nervous system tracks patterns across time, not moments. It remembers how often you had to push through discomfort to maintain connection. How often you ignored your own signals to keep things smooth. How often closeness required effort instead of rest. Even healthy relationships can become unsafe to a nervous system that is already tired. If you entered love already emotionally depleted, already carrying unresolved stress, already in survival mode from life, work, or past relationships, your capacity for intimacy was limited from the start. Love did not cause the exhaustion. It exposed it. When capacity is low, even gentle closeness can feel like pressure. This is why people often say, "I don't know why, but love feels like too much lately." What they are experiencing is not disinterest. It is saturation. The nervous system has a threshold. When that threshold is crossed, it does not ask questions. It reacts. And reaction often looks like withdrawal. Not dramatic withdrawal. Not avoidance that feels intentional, but subtle internal distancing, less emotional availability, less desire to engage deeply, less tolerance for vulnerability. This is often misunderstood as falling out of love. But falling out of love is not the same as falling out of regulation. When regulation is lost, the body seeks space, not to punish, not to escape, but to restore balance. This is why some people feel calmer alone than in love. Not because they don't want connection, but because solitude removes demand. There is no emotional negotiation.
No monitoring.
No performance. The body finally rests. Another reason safety leaves love is unresolved emotional memory. Even when the current relationship is safe, the body may still be responding to earlier experiences where closeness led to pain, abandonment, or emotional overwhelm. Memory in the nervous system is not narrative. It is sensory. Your body remembers how closeness felt, how intensity felt, how love cost you before. So when love deepens again, the body prepares for impact, even if the mind knows better. This is why reassurance does not always help, because reassurance speaks to the mind. Safety must be felt in the body. If love stopped feeling safe for you, it does not mean you are incapable of intimacy. It means your nervous system is asking for something it did not get before. Pacing, consistency, emotional reciprocity, and rest within connection. Safety does not come from intensity. It comes from regulation. And until regulation returns, love will continue to feel fragile, even when nothing is wrong. How the body protects itself when love feels unsafe. When love stops feeling safe, the body does not panic loudly. It protects quietly. Protection rarely looks like fear. It looks like distance, like numbness, like irritation where softness used to live. The nervous system's first goal is not closeness. It is regulation. When regulation is threatened, the body adjusts behavior automatically. It reduces emotional exposure. It limits vulnerability. It creates space internally, even if nothing changes externally. This is why people often say, "I'm still here, but I don't feel the same." What they are describing is not loss of love. It is loss of access. Access to emotion. Access to openness. Access to safety. The body closes doors to protect energy. One of the most common protective responses is emotional withdrawal. Not as punishment, not as manipulation, but as conservation. The nervous system senses that staying fully open requires more than it can give, so it pulls back to prevent overload. This withdrawal is often misunderstood. Partners may experience it as disinterest or rejection, but internally, it feels like relief mixed with guilt. Relief because pressure decreases. Guilt because love is still present. Another protective response is hyperawareness. When love feels unsafe, the body starts monitoring the relationship more closely. Tone changes feel louder. Silence feels heavier. Small shifts feel significant. The body is scanning, not because danger is present, but because it remembers what danger felt like before. This vigilance is exhausting, and exhaustion deepens the sense of unsafety. Over time, the nervous system may also dull emotional sensation. This is not emotional coldness. It is emotional containment. Feeling less becomes safer than feeling fully. This is how love can exist without warmth. The most confusing part of this process is that it often happens without conscious choice. You do not decide to pull away. You notice it after it has already happened. That is because the nervous system moves faster than thought. Another layer of protection appears when someone learned early that love required performance. Being emotionally available, being understanding, being strong, being accommodating. Over time, love became associated with effort rather than ease. When that pattern repeats in adulthood, the body anticipates the cost. Even when the partner is kind, even when the relationship is stable, the nervous system prepares for the familiar burden. This preparation removes safety. It is important to understand that none of this means love has failed. It means the body has reached its limit. A limit shaped by past experiences, current stress, and emotional capacity. Safety does not disappear because love weakens. It disappears because the body cannot carry more. This is why forcing closeness rarely works. Pushing through discomfort only reinforces the association between love and strain. The body learns that the connection requires override, and override never creates safety. Safety is restored only when the body experiences love without cost, without pressure, without responsibility, beyond mutual care. Until then, protection stays active. And love continues to feel unsafe, not because it is dangerous, but because the body is tired of surviving inside it. How safety returns to love without forcing it. Safety does not return to love through reassurance. It does not return through explanation. And it does not return through effort. Safety returns through experience. The nervous system does not respond to words. It responds to patterns. For love to feel safe again, the body must experience consistency without demand, presence without pressure, closeness without cost. This begins with pacing. When love feels unsafe, slowing down is not withdrawal. It is regulation. Reducing intensity allows the nervous system to recalibrate. It learns that connection can exist without urgency. Urgency is one of the biggest threats to safety. Even positive urgency. Even romantic urgency. When closeness moves faster than capacity, the body tightens. Slowness creates room. Another essential element of safety is emotional reciprocity. When one person consistently carries emotional labor, regulation breaks. Love becomes asymmetric. Safety requires balance. The nervous system relaxes when care flows in both directions. Safety also requires permission to rest inside connection, to be quiet together, to exist without performing intimacy. When love allows stillness, the body begins to trust it again. Trust does not come from passion. It comes from predictability. Predictability does not mean routine. It means emotional reliability. Knowing that you do not have to explain yourself constantly. Knowing that space will not be punished. Knowing that closeness will not require self-abandonment. When these experiences repeat, the nervous system updates its expectations. Love begins to feel lighter, not because intensity returned, but because tension left. It is also important to recognize that sometimes safety cannot return within the same dynamic. Not because the relationship is wrong, but because the body associates that specific pattern with overload. In these cases, safety must be rebuilt internally first, through rest, through reduced emotional demand, through reconnecting with bodily signals rather than overriding them. Once internal regulation improves, love becomes possible again. Sometimes with the same person, sometimes with someone new, but always with different pacing. Safety does not mean absence of vulnerability. It means vulnerability without fear of collapse. If love stopped feeling safe for you, nothing is broken. Your nervous system did exactly what it was designed to do. It protected you when capacity was exceeded. And when capacity is restored, safety can return. Slowly, quietly, without force. Love does not need to be intense to be real. It needs to be regulated. When regulation is present, love feels like rest instead of effort, presence instead of pressure, home instead of hazard.